So welcome everyone to our class of 2021 senior information night. We are very excited that we have information to share with you about events that are going to happen for the class of 2021. We know that it is a year that's unlike any other in terms of what we've been able to do with our seniors so far, and really a year unlike any other with what we have to look forward to with our seniors. Even though we went through a little bit of this last year, this year is not going to be like last year because of some different changes that are going on. So our goal tonight is to provide you with an update on as much as we can about what the remainder of the year is going to look like. I do want to share that joining me on the call tonight is Mr. Sam Levine, who's the senior administrator, Miss Jennifer Lloyd, who is English teacher at BCC, but is also the sponsor for the class of 2021, and Miss Linda Schaus, who is our graduation coordinator and does a great job of keeping us all on track and making sure that we have everything, every eventuality planned out when it comes to graduation. So the first thing I want to say is kind of share with you what we're going to talk about tonight. But I want to start before I even say that and say we are not going to talk at all about the reopening of schools except to give you a kind of a date that we're looking at for seniors. There will be a meeting that I'm hosting next Thursday night at the same time. If you want to learn more about our plans, but we're not going to talk about that at all tonight, just to go ahead and let you know that now. So we're going to talk about how to finish the senior year strong, share with you information about the contacts that you need, what we know right now about prom, graduation, AP and IB testing, and then a couple of other topics that are a little more randomly kind of sparsed out, and then answer some of those questions that people submitted on that online form that we put out there. So I'm going to turn it over now to Mr. Levine to talk about finishing out the senior year strong.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Mooney, and good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. I am Sam Levine. I'm the 12th grade administrator this year. And I'm just going to review a couple of key points here at the semester transition. So just a reminder, we're really encouraging the seniors, of course, to, finish the school year strong. It's very important that students are regularly checking Synergy Student View just to monitor their grades, monitor assignments. We want, just a reminder to students about SSL hours and that 75 hours are needed for graduation. And Miss Marie Henry is one of our counselors, and she is our SSL coordinator. So students and families can reach out to Miss Henry if they have any questions about the SSL requirements or about the hours that individual students have accumulated. It's best practice for students to communicate regularly with their teachers, counselors, or the administrative team if they have any questions or concerns. And then also just a reminder at this point of the year, just for students to pay any financial obligations that they may have that have carried over from previous years. And also just to really closely monitor any materials that they checked out for this current school year, just so there are no concerns at the end of the year with trying to return materials or resolve any financial obligations. And lastly, just very important for students to stay connected, especially in this virtual setting. A lot of the communications, are coming out through, various platforms like Canvas or Synergy, Synergy Mail, or, again, just through social media for SGA information. So just very important for students to closely monitor morning announcements and all of the various communication platforms just to stay connected. And just a little bit more information on the points of contact. So again, I'm Sam Levine, 12th grade administrator. Students and families are welcome to reach out to me at any time, and I will either assist you directly or I will help get you connected to the appropriate staff member who can assist. You'll hear from Miss Lloyd this evening. She's on our call this evening, and she is the senior class advisor. And then again, Ms. Schaus is with us as the graduation coordinator, and she'll be speaking shortly. Our senior class president is JD Gorman. and Miss Henry's contact information, again, as the SSL coordinator is here. And lastly, Miss Maureen Bonner, our school registrar. So she can assist with any transcript related questions. And so, and of course, the students counselor is always a great resource as well. So please do not hesitate to reach out to any member of our team. And again, feel free to reach out to me directly if you're unsure of where to go. I'd be happy to assist. So we appreciate you being here this evening. And again, feel free to reach out anytime.
Good evening. So again, I'm Jennifer Lloyd, and I am the senior class advisor. And that means I work very closely with our SGA for the class of 2021. As an SGA, we are working really hard to make sure that we have some special events for our seniors. It is very much up in the air at this point what those events will look like. It's very dependent on our reopening and the county reopening and what MCPS guidelines are. So I don't have a lot of information about prom and what it would even look like at this point, but we do have a date, May 7th, 2021, and we will be in touch with more information when we know if the event will be held and what it would look like at that point.
Good evening. This is I'm Linda Schaus, and I am the AP testing coordinator. I'm also the graduation coordinator, so I'll talk about, you can contact me for graduation questions also. So I just want to talk to you a little bit about AP and IB testing. And I know we got some information recently from College Board about AP testing, and they actually provided 3 different time periods with a mix of in-person testing and online testing. The county itself, MCPS, will make the decision on how we will run our testing. It is not a decision that we can make at BCC. They are still getting a plan approved. In fact, the AP coordinators for the entire county are meeting tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, and I hope to get some more information at that point. I'm hoping that a plan has been approved by that point. And then we'll be able to give you information about what that date is. We do understand that there are some concerns about how that would affect seniors. So for example, if we had option C, which is from June 1st through the 4th, 7th through the 11th, well, seniors are supposed to graduate on the 4th. So obviously that would have an impact, and we would have to make adjustments. So I am quite confident that the county is going to consider that when choosing what test period to use, because we are not alone in that. All of the high schools will be graduating in late May and early June. So, they will take that into account, but as soon as we know, we will let you know. As far as deadlines in general, there are some important deadlines coming up for AP testing. The late registration deadline is March 12th. So if a student decides that they want to take a test, they have to make that decision before March 12th. You cannot register even with a late fee after that time. You can cancel an AP exam, although College Board says that it can be later than the 31st, we at BCC have to be able to plan for what that testing looks like. So we need to know how many people are going to actually take the exam. So if you are going to cancel that exam, you can cancel that up until March 31st, and there is no penalty for that. Unless you ordered late, you still have that late fee. But if you ordered on time, there's no penalty for canceling an exam. You can now pay for the AP testings exams online. So you can go to the OSP and start paying for those. That will not be updated, every day. It's going to be updated every couple of weeks. So if there was some change, like you canceled an exam, it will take a little bit of time before that's updated. And then, in talking about IB exams, that's a little up in the air also. But again, that's going to be a district-wide plan. It's not a decision that BCC will decide on. The MCPS itself will make a decision on how that testing will run. And then the last thing, there's actually a meeting about this today, is the county has provided some funds for the teachers at the individual high schools to offer review sessions in the spring to those students taking IB and AP tests. The details of that are not decided yet. So we have to work that out, but it is something that the county is thinking about and we have started to plan for.
So I think that graduation is probably the biggest topic on everyone's mind as we think about events for seniors. So I want to start by saying that everything that we're going to talk about around graduation is all tentative based on what we know right now. But graduation is planned for June 4th, 2021 at 10 a.m. And it will be in one of three locations. It will be either at DAR Constitution Hall, it will be at our football stadium at BCC, or it will be virtual. And we're actually planning for all three types of ceremonies right now, which makes it very tough and a little bit crazy for those of us doing it. But that's where we are in working through this process. MCPS has shared that they will make a decision about whether or not we're going to go to DAR by April 15th. And then that decision would be that, okay, we're going to do it in our home stadium. And then if that decision, we're going to change, that would be made by April 30th. So we will have a little bit of lead time. It is important to know, I'm jumping way down to the next to last bullet there. It is important to know that no matter where we hold our graduation, unless it's virtual, it will be limited guests. That there's no way, even if it were DAR, we'll be able to give out 4 or 5 tickets. We're probably looking at more like 2 tickets per graduate. But we will have live streaming available for family members to watch it regardless of the venue. So that is something that's just important to know now as you're thinking about kind of what you want that to look like as you're celebrating it as a family. We will have a graduation rehearsal on June 3rd, unless it's a virtual ceremony. If it's a virtual ceremony, we'll know that by April 30th, and we'll work out all the details about getting caps and gowns out and collecting materials and doing obligations and all of that piece. So we'll take care of all of that at that point. It is also relatively new information, but MCPS has agreed to provide up to $45 towards the cost of every student's cap and gown, every graduate's cap and gown. We know Ms. Schaus, BCC, because Ms. Schaus is so organized with this, was one of the first schools to start their ordering. So we know there are a lot of families that have already ordered and paid Herff Jones for that order. We're in the process of trying to figure out how we're going to make reimbursements happen, but we are going to be doing that. But if you have a new order that you need to do, Ms. Schaus, we have the information online available for you how to do that. I think the total cost now is $8, Ms. Schaus, about that. Yeah, $8.
Yes.
So that's where we are now. So our total package is $53. MCPS is picking up the cost of $45. And again, if you already paid, we will reimburse you. We've just got to figure out how to logistically make that happen on our end. So that's graduation. A few other kind of pieces that go with other topics that we've talked about. So at the Board of Education meeting on Tuesday, MCPS did share kind of the target dates for students to return to buildings. Based on the programs we have at BCC, the target date for seniors to come back is April 6th, which is the Tuesday after spring break ends. They did say that could be earlier, but I think that decision would be announced probably on the 23rd if that was going to move any earlier than that. So that's an important date to know. The next important thing to know is that the deadline to order graduation announcements through Herff Jones is February 15th, which is Monday. So we only have a few days left to do that. The last day of school for seniors, regardless of what the graduation plan is May 28th, and that's countywide. May 28th was the Friday before Memorial Day. Another thing that's relatively new information, we don't have a lot of details on, but MCPS is going to provide lawn signs, the graduate lawn signs for every senior. And we have to work out the logistics of those still, but those are being provided. And the last real piece that goes with that is that we had a couple of questions in the questionnaire about how to handle transcripts and grade requests or grade questions. And those should go through your child's counselor and or to Ms. Bonner, who is the registrar. Especially since MCPS made the last minute decision to allow some courses from first semester to be pass-fail. That process, I excuse me, is still being worked out exactly how we identify those courses, those people who want that option, and how we get that upgraded on the transcripts before they're sent out to the colleges at this point for seniors. And I think, Ms. Lloyd, I'm handing it over to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And these are just a couple of the ways that, we have been staying in touch with you all and the ways that we'll continue to stay in touch. The Synergy email, both yours and your students. The BCC website is a great place that we'll post updates. Our BCC SGA Instagram, if you're on Instagram, or if your kids are on the Instagram, we will post updates there. Dr. Mooney also sends out updates through the SMORE newsletter that he sends every week, so make sure you're checking that. And Mr. Levine sends out the morning announcements also through Synergy. And then our PTSA also sends out a lot of really helpful information through their listserv. So make sure you stay in touch with us.
So at this point, we have the question and answer open, and a few people have been using that. There was only one more question that we didn't feel like we had really answered in our presentation that were submitted by the forums, and that was a question about really any type of outdoor event or celebration that we might be having for seniors to celebrate. Right now, we are still governed by the rules that Montgomery County government and Montgomery County Public Schools have put in place, and we are not allowed to plan any type of event of that order, whether that be a picnic, a parade, any of those types of things. And that's right now. Of course, as things change, we will be looking at all options and all the things that we can possibly do to celebrate the seniors. But that we, at this point, are unable to do that. So I apologize for that. So if there are other questions, I see a couple of going in the question and answer session right now. And I'll answer a couple of them out loud just because I want to make sure. That timeline for the graduation decision is an MCPS wide graduation decision. And I'm not certain why those dates were changed other than to allow us time to plan appropriately for the next phase. So that's where we are in terms of that. So there, a question in Ms. Schaust, I see you're typing the answer. How can you find out if your student has a financial obligation? You can actually reach out to Audrey Liebskin, who is the financial specialist. You send her an email if you have that.
You can also go on to the online OSP system. You can actually look up to see your obligations. That's where IB and AP tests are listed also now. So that link, if you go to the BCC website, there is a link to how to pay for AP testing. And if you go to that link, you will see all your obligations, not just AP testing. So even if you don't have an AP test to pay for, you could use that same link to find out your obligations and pay them online.
Learn something new every day. Thank you, Ms. Schaus. I didn't know that. So the question about IB exams, that's a piece that is still very much up in the air. As Ms. Schaus said, we had a meeting today about AP and IB exams and really kind of what that's going to look like. And the last answer we really have is that both College Board and the IB organization have provided some options, but MCPS is going to choose an option that all MCPS schools will use. So I believe that one of the options is that there's no formal exam and there's the use of internal assessments. Ms. Schaus, I'm looking to you to confirm that that's what we're talking about. But we don't, there is no specific plan that will be the way MCPS goes, right?
So that's for IB. I can't speak as well to the IB program, but that might be the case, that they will just use the internal assessments rather than the exams. That's what they did last year. But I don't think that IB has made that decision. So I think we're still waiting on that. So I don't even think that that's a BCC decision. I think IB itself hasn't decided whether they're giving the test or not. AP, the College Board has made a decision. So they've already given all the schools in the country options. And so right now we're waiting on MCPS to make a decision for all of the schools, how we will run that. So as soon as we know what dates we're going to run, there were 3 different options. This is, you know, I could take guesses. The first option is that we are testing in school. I don't think that's going to happen because students, you know, some students are going to want to test at home. Some students are going to want to test online. If I were a betting person, I would say that probably the second option is what's going to happen. And that's because it's a mix of both online and in person. But I just don't know. And as soon as I know, believe me, we will put that out there. But I don't know myself. So like I said, I'm going to an AP coordinators meeting tomorrow, and we'll see if we know anything by that time.
Ms. Schaus, there a question about kind of the ordering caps and gowns. Do we have that link that's on the senior
Yes.
side of the website too?
Yes, that's also on there too. So there's a link there and you can just click on it and you can go on, and when you get to the cap and gown, you'll see it says $7.55. So thank you, MCPS. And then when you order it with tax, it ends up being $8. So you can have it ordered. Now remember, it doesn't get mailed to your house. It gets sent to us. So we get the caps and gowns in May, and then they get distributed the day before graduation. Oh, I see a question about, is there a chance that there would be no IB exams? That's always a possibility, and when they tell us, we'll let you guys know, but we don't know yet. If students are virtual and IB or AP tests are in person, I think it's going to have to be, we can't run any of the tests completely in person. I mean, even going back is a decision by the individual students, whether they go back to school in April or not. So I got to believe that the county is going to give options. We just don't know. I know these are all very good questions, but until the county makes a decision, it's hard to figure out how that's going to run.
Ms. Schaus, are you able to just clarify if the cap and gown this year, just the differences between what we used last year?
Yeah, there's only been one change based on what we've done in the last 2 years. So 2 years ago, so this will be our 3rd year that we've gone to the new vendor with the new colors. The colors match BCC colors better. But one change that we made from the first 2 years is they have a kind of a hood that they wear. It's a gold hood that goes over the gown, and it has an embroidered BCC logo on the front, and on the back. In previous years, we had the year that went down the back of the hood. However, it then precluded anybody from ever using that hood again. So if people had siblings, they couldn't use it again because it was unique to that particular year. And it was expensive. The vendor was charging quite a bit of money, in my opinion. So what we did is we switched it. So now it says BCC down the back. So now hoods will be able to be reused along with the cap and gown. So if a younger sibling was going to graduate, they would just have to buy the tassel, which has the individual graduation year on it. So it should be save money in the long run. Also, a lot of people donate their cap and gowns after graduation, and then we use those for students who have financial need. And again, if we didn't have the hood, it wouldn't be as useful. So we're hoping that it makes the costs go down for some families, but then also we'll be able to reuse our materials better. And just so you know, that was a decision that was agreed upon by the current senior class officers. So we took it to the officers. We discussed the issue with them. The vendor actually made up a couple of different options, and then we showed them the options, and they made their decision. So we did get the input of the students.
So for those of you that have can see the chat, I just put the link in for information that's on our website, and it also has how to order your cap and gown. Ms. Schaus, I saw a couple of questions about just how could people confirm if they've ordered their cap and gown. Is there an easy way to do that?
No, and please don't email me. So I get like 500 emails. Did I order my cap and gown? I don't know. So I get updates about, once a month from the vendor, and he gives me a list. But the best way to find out if you've ordered is if you have ordered, you have got because everybody's ordered online, you will have received a receipt. And so just look for the receipt in your email. It often goes to spam. So check your spam mail, and every person who's emailed me and I've sent that as a response has been able to find your receipt. So that's the first thing I would say is just look in your email. But I don't have, the last update I got was in December. So I actually don't have a complete list of whether you've ordered or not.
Thank you. So if we are holding graduation on the field at BCC, it still will be a very limited guest situation. We have just under 570 graduates. And when we space them out 6 feet apart, plus the staff that are required and all of that, it would just be, again, it would be a very limited ability to have people in the stands there.
Somebody asked who the receipt will be coming from. The company's name is Herff Jones, HERFF JONES. Dr. Mooney, did you want to take the question about AP teachers covering full content?
I'm lost in the questions.
I know they move a lot, so it's hard to find the question and
Try
stay.
to dismiss the ones that you've already answered
Okay.
Oh,
to keep it clean.
No.
Oh, thank you.
So the AP teachers and covering the full content, that's a piece that, MCPS is well aware of the concerns that are around that, and College Board is aware of the concerns that we have around whether or not we've been able to do that. I believe when everything comes out in the wash that will be part of what College Board has done with the adjustments that they're making to their exam format. I can't promise that because I'm not on the end of that, but I can tell you that they have taken into consideration some of those pieces, and they didn't make the decision to change their exam structure without a lot of feedback from large school districts like Montgomery County Public Schools that really provide a lot of AP exams and are really looking at how they can support students. So that's there. But I don't have an answer for some very specific courses that need a certain amount of content covered, how that would be done.
So somebody asked about paying for the AP exams. So if you are sure you're going to take the exam, then you should go ahead and pay for it. If you are not sure you're going to take the exam and you want to wait till late March, or till maybe this decision is made to know when your particular exam is going to be given, then you can do that. I would recommend that you wait and do not pay for it until you are sure. Because if you do, then we have to issue a refund. So that seems like a lot of work that's unnecessary. But you do have to make a decision by March 31st. So we are asking, because we can't make plans, whether it be in person or virtual, if we don't know how many students are actually testing. So we are asking that everybody let us know by March 31st and pay by March 31st if you're going to. And then if not, then we can cancel your exams at that point.
So the question about a drive-in graduation, that's something, again, that we're bound by the MCPS and Montgomery County kind of limits that are placed on those types of things. So we wouldn't be able to sponsor a drive-in graduation. We have the 3 options that we have for that. And we are very well aware that our students are competing with other students around the country and around the world when it comes to admission to colleges and how competitive that is. We also all colleges are also aware, and a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago, we actually had our college night where we had some international colleges even on, and they talked about how they're aware of what students are experiencing and how they're taking that as a factor in consideration in their acceptance processes. So we are aware of that, and we're trying to make sure that our students are as prepared as we can possibly. So I know Mr. Levine is typing an answer to this. I don't think Mr. Levine sends a weekly newsletter. If he does, he never sent it to me. So
I think
Dr. Moody, I think I was referencing the morning announcements there.
okay. So morning announcements do come out when we have them, which is not very many now that when we're not in school, but they do come out through Synergy to students and also on the PTSA listserv. So we'll use our good teacher wait time. If there are any other questions. Thank you all very much for joining us. We have talked as a group. If there are things that cause a seismic shift in kind of what we have planned, or we do that, we will plan another evening like this where we're able to roll out information. But we may also just kind of provide updates via email and via all of those other communication methods that we talked about if they're just small shifts. We do that. So thank you all very much for joining us. I hope you have a great evening.